Good evening, this is BrassTacks. I'm Zakka. Jacob, the Aam Aadmi Party versus LG face-off in the national capital has taken yet another turn today. The Aam Aadmi Party has accused the Lieutenant Governor of corruption when he was chairman of the KVIC. This was back in 2016-17 when the AAP claims that the chairman of the KVIC, the current LG, played a role of corruption, turning old notes into new at the height of demonetization. The LG, in turn, has threatened to take legal action against at least 4 AAP leaders. Also today, the Aam Aadmi Party leaders protested in front of the CBI office, reiterating their charge of Operation Lotus. But the big question is, where is the evidence? If the BJP was indeed trying to poach, like they've done in Maharashtra before, or Goa, or other states, then should the evidence of that not be placed in the public domain? And also, to the BJP, how is this laundry list of corruption suddenly coming to the fore after the appointment of the new LG? All that and more we'll debate over the course of the next 30 minutes. But first, the story so far.
Another day, another Dangal in Delhi. The Aam Aadmi Party protested outside the CBI headquarters, demanding a probe against BJP's alleged Operation Lotus. The AAP delegation was stopped from crossing the barricade outside the building, after which they sat on a dharna. Their allegation is that the BJP is trying to topple governments in several states, including the national capital.
We were made to wait for almost 2 hours on the road. 10 elected representatives of the city wanted to meet the CBI director, let alone the CBI director meeting us. No officer from CBI met us. It seems that the CBI is scared that if there is a complaint against the Bharatiya Janata Party, then what are they going to do?
AAP has been alleging Operation Lotus is in motion ever since the CBI raided Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia over an alleged scam in the now scrapped excise policy. But after Liquorgate, an alleged school scam is also rocking AAP's boat.
अगर वो जो झूठ बोलने वाली मशीन होती है जिसके ऊपर बिठा देते हैं और ऐसे लगा देते हैं हाथ पर लाई डिटेक्टर टेस्ट, नार्को टेस्ट, तो नार्को टेस्ट भी होना चाहिए.
There is also a fierce face-off between AAP and Delhi LG Vinay Kumar Saxena. After all, it's the LG who recommended a CBI probe over AAP's excise policy, following which the investigating agency named Sisodia as accused number 1 in its FIR. The LG also ordered a probe into lapses in construction of school classrooms. AAP then accused Saxena of pressurizing his employees to exchange banned notes worth 1,400 crores when he was the Khadi and Village Industries Commission chairperson in 2016. From raising placards inside the Delhi Assembly to holding an overnight dharna inside the Assembly premises, AAP MLAs demanded a probe against the LG. Then today, Saxena decided to take legal action against AAP MLAs Atashi, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Durgesh Pathak for what he called false corruption charges against him.
जांच होनी चाहिए. जांच तो हो पहले पूरी तरह से. जो भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुई उसमें आज तक कभी एलजी साहब से बातचीत क्यों नहीं हुई, इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए.
So amidst the allegations and counter-allegations, who's really rattled here?
All right, on the talking point, Shalini Singh, a spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Ashish Sood of the BJP will be joining us. Umesh Sehgal is former Delhi Chief Secretary, Arun Anand, consulting editor with First Post, and Ashwini Dubey, Supreme Court advocate. Shalini Singh, first things first, your MLA Durgesh Pathak alleged inside the Delhi Assembly that the Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena had pressurized his employees while he was chairman of the KVIC to exchange demonetized notes. He says this is a scam worth 1,400 crores back in 2016 when the current LG was the chairman of KVIC. If Mr. Pathak or any other leader of your party has evidence of this claim, why not place it in the assembly or in the public domain instead of making such a bald allegation?
Good evening, everyone. So they did, Durgesh Pathak did present the statements made by those cashiers who were made to do such work of turning that black money into white and depositing huge amounts of cash. And they have also gone ahead and asked for a CBI inquiry on this matter. So
no, but where are those cashiers? If those are real BJP people, those cashiers should come forth and say it. If they are saying it to Durgesh Pathak, surely they can say it in the public domain?
So they have, if you remember what Durgesh Pathak has said, that they were suspended and they have a threat to their life, and the statements have not came and gave to Durgesh Pathak, but they've made those statements. And that is why today
Ma'am, this is something that happened in
have been sitting
2016
and asking
ostensibly.
for-
Ma'am, one second. If this is something that happened ostensibly in 2016 and you're saying these people lost their jobs and there's a threat to their life, how come they have not registered a police complaint? How come this information has not come into the public domain before Mr. Saxena became the Delhi LG? It's only coming out
we
now
all know
after
how-
Mr. Saxena referred the liquor gate scandal to the CBI for its investigation, and after raids have happened against Manish Sisodia. It's only coming out now, 5 years later.
See, the BJP, they very clearly always say that if AAP has not done anything wrong, then why are they scared of CBI or ED inspections or raids? So
Okay.
we also say the same thing. If LG has not done anything wrong, why is he scared of this 1,400 crore which Aam Aadmi Party is trying to let them that, okay, he has done this kind of a scam. This is a fraud done by him. This is a
Okay.
unethical thing done
Ashish
by him.
Sood,
Why
please
CBI is
respond.
not probing
There
it?
were Aam Aadmi Party MLAs carrying placards saying LG VK Saxena chor hai, VK Saxena ko arrest karo. They protested inside the assembly. They also continued to protest throughout the night at the Gandhi statue. The question is, it's a very simple, it's a political charge that's being leveled against the LG. If the LG is clean, the LG, all he needs to do is to produce these 3 or 4 people who Durgesh Pathak has named, bring them to the public domain and let them say what the truth is. Why take defamatory
you
action?
will- Why not? You have seen always that Aam Aadmi Party and their supreme leader, the so-called supreme leader, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, is in a habit of making an allegation and running away. They called a special session to defame Mr. Arun Jaitley, and then he begged for pardon to Mr. Arun Jaitley, then same to Mr. Nitin Gadkari, and moreover, the main plank of the Aam Aadmi Party was fight against the drug abuse. They were wanting to throw Majithia in the jail. Kejriwal apologized against him also, from him also.
No, Sood
So I will not-
Saab. One second. There's a very, very clear question being asked. The question is, there are 3 or 4 people that Durgesh Pathak has named and said they were employees of KVIC. It's very easy to identify who these employees are.
Yes,
No, one
Zakka.
second. Hear my question.
Yes.
Sir, one second. Hear my question. It's very easy to identify who these employees are. All that LG Saab needs to do is to present them in the public domain. They reveal the truth to the public. Kejriwal ki
Why should
pura
LG
plank
why should-
ud jayega.
Why should LG do it?
Because the allegation is
The
against the
CBI has
LG.
come out- You asked me a question. Let me. I will reply what
No,
I
you
feel. So.
you
what
said
I
why
feel
should
so.
LG do it? LG
Yes,
should
why
do it
should
because
we
the
do it?
allegation is against the
Because-
LG.
because-
अगर
because-
आशीष सूद के खिलाफ एलिगेशन थे तो आशीष सूद आके क्लैरिफाई करें.
तो
अगर
आशीष
जाका
सूद-
जेकब के
आशीष
खिलाफ
सूद उनको
एलिगेशन है तो
लेकर
जाका
जाएगा
जेकब
जेल।
आके
आशीष
क्लैरिफाई
सूद
कर
उनको
देगा ना.
कोर्ट में ले- आशीष सूद उनको कोर्ट में लेके जाएगा और अपने पैरों में गिरवा के माफी मांग के
सर,
इनकी हैसियत
अगर
इनको
आपको
बताएगा।
आपका नाम क्लियर करवाना है, बस इन चारों को पब्लिक डोमेन में प्रेजेंट कर दो बस.
Every Tom, Dick and Harry will come in one section of KVIC. Can you believe 1,400 crores can be changed in one section, in one branch?
तो
What
ये
are you
से
talking?
ये
That
जो
I'm
ये
just trying
नहीं
to
ये जो
discuss.
लॉजिक
No, I
आप
will
कह
not
रहे हैं,
debate on
सुन साहब
this.
सुन
The
लीजिए
whole
नहीं सुन साहब सुन
story
लीजिए
as
10 सेकंड के लिए सुन
पहले
लीजिए
आपने
नहीं
मुझे एक
सुन
भी
लीजिए
सवाल
10
पूरा
सेकंड के
नहीं
लिए सुन
करने
लीजिए.
दिया।
मैं
मेरा
सिर्फ
statement
तो
होना
ये
चाहिए।
जो आप
जक्का
नहीं ये जो
आप मेरा
एलिगेशन
एक
आप लेवल
statement
कर रहे हो सुन साहब
देखिए, मेरे
सुन
ऊपर
लीजिए ना
इल्जाम पे इल्जाम
10
लग
सेकंड
रहे
के लिए
हैं।
सुन लीजिए
आप मेरा एक जवाब तो
थोड़ा सा
पूरा
सब्र
होने
रख
दीजिए।
लीजिए थोड़ा सा
I
सब्र
will
रख
answer
लीजिए.
all your questions.
10 seconds. All I'm asking is, Aam Aadmi Party can turn around and say the same thing about liquor gate also. लिकर
No,
गेट में
I'll tell you.
आपने आके एलिगेशन
I'll
लगा
tell you.
दिया. अभी तक किसी ने
हाँ.
ये नहीं बताया कि करप्शन कहाँ हुआ है. बताइए.
सुनिए आपका सवाल हो गया मैं जवाब दूं.
दीजिए. मैं तो वेट कर रहा हूँ पिछले 5 मिनट से वेट कर रहा हूँ आपके
नहीं
जवाब.
आपने तो मेरे को बोलने ही नहीं दिया साहब आज आप मेरे से पता नहीं क्यों नाराज है.
नाराज की
नाराज
की बात ही नहीं है. नहीं नाराज की बात ही नहीं है. आप जवाब दीजिए.
आपको
नहीं जवाब दीजिए.
You could visualize that the hollow argument is being put by Aam Aadmi Party. Let me now at least okay आप नाराज नहीं है. Let me put forth my view. Look, as you said, as you questioned Miss Shalini Singh, why these questions have arisen only when the liquor gate has been opened. So the main thing is that they want to deflect the issues. If they are so clear, if they say we are leveling false charges, why have they not gone to file defamation cases against us? The courts are open for them also. They will talk about Shiv Sena and Uddhav Thackeray in Delhi without replying this. What kind of politics is this? So we will not play on their pitch. They have to reply.
Okay.
As you said, they are giving slogans. On the roads of Delhi, people are shouting, "Pee gaye daru, kha gaye mal, Manish Sisodia, Kejriwal."
So Shalini saying very simple question, before which I have to go, after which I'll go to Umesh Sehgal and Arun Anand. Very simple question. And the question is this, that you have, in fact, Mr. Sisodia himself, forget about everybody else, the spokespersons and so on. Mr. Sisodia himself, I think on day 2 or day 3, came out and said, मेरे पास ऑडियो क्लिप है 800 करोड़ की ये ऑफर कर रहे हैं बीजेपी. आई हैव ऑडियो क्लिप ऑफ पीपल मेकिंग दिस डायरेक्ट ऑफर. ये तो 10 दिन हो गया उन्होंने ये पब्लिक डोमेन में ये बात रखने के बाद. यू वेंट एंड मेट सीबीआई टुडे, a delegation of your leaders. Did you submit this audio clip to the CBI? Where is this audio clip? ऑडियो क्लिप रिलीज कर दीजिए, पूरी दुनिया जान लेगी किसने ऑफर किया और क्या ऑफर किया.
So BJP has turned the government of turned down the government of Maharashtra, Goa, Madhya Pradesh, and how they have done that? Who were the people who went to those?
I would like to reply this charge if you give me some few seconds.
Yeah, 1 second, sir. Asud sahab, एक second.
So, sir, I was listening, Ashish ji, if you can hear me out.
बोलिए. No, answer my question though. Shalini, answer my question. Simple question I've asked you. Where is this audio clip?
Yeah. Let me speak. So once we have gone to CBI, let CBI probe and we'll give it to them. And enough has been said in the past about these, the tape and all that, how we will give and when we will give, and let them probe.
But Shalini, one second. One second. I have a counter question, after which you can respond to what Ashish said.
I have to reply one for Ashish.
Fair enough. I'll give you time.
Give me 30 seconds.
No,
give me 30
I have
seconds
one
right
10-second question. One 10-second question.
Yeah.
So you are saying today on the program, you have approached the CBI. CBI said they will look into the matter. So now you have faith in the CBI that they will do an inquiry. कल तक तो आपके पास तो faith नहीं था.
No, and we are still not saying. See, the people. I'm saying let CBI probe and find out what is the way they have been probing Manish Sisodia's house for the liquor scam. Let them probe that also again. He is trying. Ashish ji, and now second thing Ashish ji is saying.
Shalini ji, can you take one question from me?
One second, Ashish साहब, मैं आ रहा हूँ आपके पास. Yeah, okay. What is your response? What is your response? आ रहा हूँ सूद साहब आपके पास आ रहा हूँ. 10 सेकंड दे दीजिए. Yeah.
Just have a small question from me, if you permit me, sir.
Okay. Ask. Yes, please.
Like Shalinji is saying, we have toppled the Shiv Sena government also, and they have gone to ask CBI to probe all
277 MLAs, sir. 277 all over.
Yes, Shalinji, yes. Will you also go and ask CBI to probe why Shiv Sena went and formed government with some other party when they had a pre-poll alliance with BJP? Can you have these? Does your party have this courage? No, you don't have.
Okay.
Because
so now
people are asking you, Kejriwal chor hai, Manish Sisodia chor hai, इसलिए you people go and talk about this.
सूद साहब जवाब सुन लीजिए. हाँ, शालिनी सिंह, जवाब to the question that was asked. नहीं शालिनी, कल तक आप कह रहे थे कि सीबीआई, ईडी, आईटी जो है सरकार की, मतलब they are agents of the government, political pressure से कर रहे हैं. तो उसी सीबीआई के पास आप जाके आज चिट्ठी दिया एलजी के खिलाफ. आज सीबीआई ठीक है. ओके, आशीष जी सुन लीजिए. ओके, शालिनी सिंह टू रिस्पॉन्ड, एंड आफ्टर व्हिच आई हैव टू गो टू द अदर गेस्ट प्लीज. यस, शालिनी सिंह, क्विक रिस्पांस. हां,
तो हम तो आज भी कह रहे हैं कि सीबीआई, ईडी जैसे जो these agencies were independent, they should be independent agencies to take on such kind of corruption and scam. But what is happening today? The Modi government.
सूद साहब बीच में नहीं, प्लीज. आशीष जी विनम्रता से पूछ रहा हूँ, प्लीज बीच में नहीं. बीच में टोकिएगा मत, प्लीज. आशीष जी प्लीज बीच में टोकिएगा मत. हाँ, Shalini, are you done? Because I'm
no,
going to the
I'm
other
not
guest.
done. So the way he said that he said Arvind Kejriwal chore, and people are saying, talk about your Gujarati. The moment elections have come up, you have come out with this scam, that scam, and you people are so scared of Arvind Kejriwal's growing popularity that
Okay,
this is
so
the
that's a political
only
point.
reason why all
We'll
this
let the people of
you
Gujarat
are
decide that कि कौन
political
popular है,
vendetta.
Modi popular है या
This is
केजरीवाल
a
popular है. That's a
this is
political
the
argument. उसको
entire
side पे रखते हैं एक
political
second.
vendetta they
Let
are
me go.
trying to
Let
do.
me go to Umesh
And
Sehgal, Arun
why did
Anand, and Mr. Dubey who are joining us. Umesh Sehgal, I think you were there on one of the first few days of our program as well, and I asked you this कि सूद साहब ये क्या है, ये क्या प्लाकार्ड दिखा रहे हैं आप? ये क्या है? नहीं ये तो नहीं ये तो पब्लिक इलेक्शन रैली नहीं है ना, ये तो डिबेट है सर. नहीं ये मत कीजिए प्लीज. Thank you. No, I want to ask Sehgal Saab. No, I want to ask Sehgal Saab a very simple question. कि the allegation of corruption against Mr. Sisodia, and I think there were 3 other public officials who were named. Now the BJP is saying processes were changed, cabinet approval was not taken, private players were invited to ask for these bids, when I believe one of the recommendations of the committee that looked into it was to keep the wholesale with the government and to give the retail to private players. That was also changed. And most importantly, even some blacklisted companies had managed to get the tenders. The question that's being asked is, yes, these are all policy changes, these are all things that CBI needs to investigate and find out, but proof of corruption is when loss to the exchequer, the money that's the loss to the exchequer, has gone to private players, and private players have then given that back as kickbacks to public officials. वो कहाँ हुई है?
I don't think what you are saying is correct. According to section 17 section of the Prevention of Corruption Act, if there has been a misdemeanor or if there has been a deviation of rules, and that has caused a loss to government, and that has been done with the intention of helping someone, that is enough. You don't have to go and prove every single thing that happens. Now here, let me tell you, because that debate is now on a wider subject, here when the excise policy inquiry is there are specific allegations. There are specific allegations that X was done, Y was done, A was done, B was done, C was done, and though the CBI can now look into them, because there are files which deal with these subjects. It's not just oral evidence, it's not just narebazi.
Okay. Yeah.
What is happening against the Lieutenant Governor is something totally different. I think I would like to be heard on this. What is happening to the Lieutenant Governor is totally different. And the allegation is made that 1400 crores corruption is there.
Yeah.
Well, where are the specific points on which you are saying 1400 crores was done? You say so much of notes have been this thing. Has any government body said, because all these notes had to go to banks, if they had gone to banks, there must be a bank, there has to be a bank account. They must have gone to banks. It is not that notes have been given and orally exchanged. Everything went to the bank. So this can be proved. And if it has not happened for 5 years, now there is, I believe, a criminal case going on against 2 people.
Yeah.
And that is only for 14 lakhs. Now you can't say that 14 lakhs in one shop means in 1,000 shops that's 14 crores. I'm sorry, these are arguments which will never be accepted in courts of law. They will not be accepted even by the public at large.
Okay.
You can't just make an allegation against a distinguished person who is at the top of the hierarchy in the government, who has made certain inquiries against you, who has ordered certain inquiries against you, just to see that he shuts up. I'm sorry, this is no way to browbeat and blackmail a public servant.
Fair
public
point.
servants have a right to be defended. I think there should be a law. There should be a law now to defend public servants against such vague and baseless allegations.
Arun
because
Anand,
all these discussions,
Arun Anand,
the Lieutenant Governor is never invited.
What I'm curious to know is, let's leave the legalities aside. वो legal battle जो है वो चल रहा है वो चलेगा. But ultimately, the political impact of what's been going on between AAP and BJP for the last about 3-4 weeks now, the political impact is this: that number one, Aam Aadmi Party, whose plank, whose claim to fame was anti-corruption, baki sab chor hain, we are the only good guys around, the non-corrupt guys around, has that plank, that moral high ground, that political high ground, has that been now robbed away from the Aam Aadmi Party? People are looking at this party and saying कि देखो इनके खिलाफ भी आरोप हैं, बाकियों के खिलाफ भी आरोप हैं, सब एक ही हैं. Arun Anand.
Zakka, I think you have made the right point. That plank has been taken away. Actually, if you look at the things which have been happening, there's a very unfortunate thing which has happened, that I was looking at the placards which was displayed by Aam Aadmi Party. No, they are talking about somebody who's holding a constitutional post and telling that ki fana vyakti chor hai. So I think, as a ruling party, they have, to maintain certain decorum, and you might be feeling cornered because of the actions of the Lieutenant Governor, but you should not take down discourse to such a level. It's like a gali mohalla ka gali galoj kind of a thing which is happening, and it is not expected from any political party. And because in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party is ruling, so there is a larger, and they have a brute majority. So there is a larger responsibility on them, one. Second is that if you look at the developments carefully, they have been changing the goalpost. Actually, this is broadly a diversionary tactic which you are witnessing, because you had asked a question to Mr. Ashish Sood also, that how do you say that this excise policy was flawed or there was corruption? The very fact that within a year this excise policy has been taken back, and we know how the shops also got closed down. So it was a flawed policy. It was not a flawed policy. Then they should have continued with this policy, and then they should not have brought the old policy.
Okay.
Third thing is that they've been changing the as soon as now the CAG report has also come out. They have included toilets as part of the building structures, in the sense they have counted them as rooms in the schools.
Yeah.
They have, if they are honest, they have nothing to fear. They should not, let the CBI probe it, let the Enforcement Directorate probe it, and you would come, clean on this thing.
So, Shalini, respond to that. It's not just about Sharab Gotala, there's now the school Gotala, and this, forget about everything else, political arguments जो आप कह रहे हैं, ये तो Vigilance Commission की रिपोर्ट है कि आपने bathrooms को भी classroom की तरफ काउंट कर दिया.
So all they are much touted models basically. So they are now.
Should I respond?
Exposed.
Yeah.
Shalini, let me finish, Shalini ji.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So all these things are in trouble right now. So it's a diversionary tactic which they are using, and of course Anna Hazare himself has written the letter.
Yeah.
To Arvind Kejriwal. So I would like to, of course, it's your prerogative how to conduct the debate, but I would like to see the reaction of Shalini Singh ji about Anna Hazare's letter to.
Yes, Shalini, both those questions, CVC findings on schools and what Anna Hazare said yesterday. Yeah.
So first I will reply for Anna Hazare ji. So now BJP has nothing left. So now they have got Anna Hazare to speak against Aam Aadmi Party's policies and all those things, because now they have nothing in their defense. And also he said that we should not be scared of any kind of CBI investigation. So we are not scared. Manish Sisodia ji is not scared. For 14 hours CBI was there in his house. For 6 hours they interrogated him. They checked his locker also. Now they've done everything. Have they come out with anything? We are waiting. Actually, we are waiting. The Aam Aadmi Party is waiting that please tell what have you found in that investigation. So all this scam, all this saying that okay, he has done a scam of an excise policy, and now they couldn't find anything in the liquor policy. Now suddenly school. Now there is a scam in school, and the most hilarious thing is that few years back, BJP leaders were saying that no, we have not done anything in school. We have not made anything. No school, no renovation, no classroom, nothing. And suddenly saying, okay, we were saying that we have made 2,000 rooms, but now we have done a ghotala in 4,000 classrooms. So you are accepting that okay, we have made some classrooms. So that is the first thing, that okay, now they're accepting that okay, at least we have done some work, right? So that is the first thing. And it is not that we are counting the toilets in classrooms. Even the condition of the toilets, the children couldn't use that. The kind of the school which was given to the government school which was given to Aam Aadmi Party when they started governing Delhi in 2015, there is such a in such a bad condition, such a worse condition that nobody could.
Okay, they couldn't use the bathroom. Okay, let me ask Ashwini Dubey on the legal point, and I keep coming back to this. I think I have a slight disagreement with what Sehgal Saab said, that you can only prove corruption if there is evidence of kickbacks having come back to these public officials to the tune of or less than or whatever, some amount of kickbacks have come back to these public officials for them to have changed the policy, which resulted in a loss to the exchequer and benefit to some private players. That so far we have not seen evidence of. And secondly, the point that Shalini made, please respond. CBI has done raids, it has done a locker opening. Matlab, it's been about a week, 10 days now. Shouldn't the CBI tell the court or put in the public domain what they have found in these raids?
CBI is accountable to the court, law of the land. There are two sets of allegations. In one set of allegations, there is a report which says that the tenders were floated for the works originally proposed and approved but later, and awarded contract value varied from 17 to 9% on account of introduction of richer specifications. Second, the report says that the cost getting escalated to the extent of 326.25 crore, which is 53% higher. This is the report which is accounted, which has been examined by the vigilant, constitutional body of this country. Secondly, the protest inside the floor of the house, where you enjoy the immunity, where you show the placards that you will not be followed by the law of the land without any evidence, without any papers. The question, the basic question here is, there is a law. Law says that if anything is against any public official, government servant, which is accountable to any statutory body, and government authorities are not adhering to the complaints, then the court of law is here, where you can move under Article 226 and 32 of the Constitution of India in the Supreme Court and High Court, saying that, look, corruption has happened, but the government is sleeping over it, and therefore we need that the court should take up these issues, and court has done tremendous job in past. Zakka bhai, in order to suppress an issue which is in public domain, issue which is being looked into and inquired by an agency established under the law, in order to retaliate, and retaliation, all of a sudden, when report comes in the public domain, one political party, even which is responsible to the citizens of this state, is involved in raising slogans inside the house instead of going to the court of law. I don't think that there is any substance in it. They have rights. Instead of protesting inside the house, instead of raising slogans, carrying placards inside the house, they should have gone to the court. There is a report by the CVC. CVC, we do not deny, nobody can deny that's a constitutional, but it's a constitutional body. And the Prevention of Corruption Act says that if anything has happened and there is a clear evidences which says that the involvement of a government servant is found, Prevention of Corruption Act will apply. But all of a sudden मैं चिल्लाना शुरू कर दूं, कहना शुरू करूं, जाका भाई के खिलाफ ये सबूत है, जाका भाई के खिलाफ ये सबूत है, ऐसी जगह चिल्लाओ जहां immunity है, where even the defamation cases will not be applicable. तो आप क्या, you want to show that you just want to shift the goalpost from one to the other.
So I want to ask Ashish Sood Saab, and then after that Shalini Singh. Ashish Sood Saab, one other point that's being made by Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party is, suddenly these raft of allegations are coming out into the public domain after the new LG Saab took office. पिछले LG Saab के साथ तो मतलब there were तनाव and tensions and you know confrontations, but ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि मतलब हफ्ते 10 दिन 2 हफ्तों से यही चल रहा है कि एक घंटा एक पार्टी कॉन्फ्रेंस करेगी, दूसरे घंटा दूसरे पार्टी कॉन्फ्रेंस करेगी, एलिगेशन काउंटर एलिगेशन. तो कुछ तो हुआ है ना पिछले एक महीने में आफ्टर द न्यू एलजी साहब हैज कम.
देखिए, आफ्टर द न्यू एलजी साहब हैज कम एंड नथिंग हैज चेंज्ड. आप केजरीवाल का पूरा इतिहास देखिए. In 2013-14 also, on 26 January, they were on a confrontation mode. They always use these instances to divert the attention. In all the cases, Mr. Kejriwal comes and says, oh, I know Manish for so many years. I know Satyendra Jain for so many years. He is the wonderful health minister. We will talk about health, education. We can have a separate debate. Like you said, like the other panelists were saying, they have all the options open. They have gone to the courts for getting the powers to transfer some babus. They are so sharp in doing all these things. But why they are not? If all these allegations by CBI, if all these allegations by BJP spokespersons are false, they should go to the court. And their track record is such. They were wanting to hang Majitia. They were wanting to put him behind the bars for what? For what? Drug abuse. Majitia was the biggest drug peddler in their terms, in their speeches. They lied down in his speech, apologized with him.
Okay, Shalini Singh, respond. Final word. Yeah.
Please.
I want to ask Mr. Ashish Sood, they are so bothered about this nation and this nation building. Gujarat being a dry state, so many people died drinking the poisonous liquor. Have they
Yes, we can have this Gujarat debate separately, Mr. Zakka.
No, why separately? Why separately?
Where has 144 crore rupees gone?
Oh, sorry, sir.
नहीं सूद साहब सुन लीजिए, आपने सवाल पूछा, शी इज गिविंग यू अ रिप्लाई. एक सेकंड नहीं सुन लीजिए, शी इज गिविंग अ रिप्लाई. एक बार सुन लीजिए प्लीज. फेयर इनफ लेकिन सुन तो लीजिए जवाब. Shalini, what is your point? What is your point? What is the point you're making, Shalini? Sood साहब सुन लीजिए जवाब.
The point is, whatever is convenient to them, they will do that. And all these things are coming up is completely because we are seeing the Gujarat elections coming up, the roaring popularity, and they are scared, they are frustrated. They don't know what to do, and so they are coming up with all these kind of scams and allegations. Every morning something they will come up.
I do not. Given Gujarat's electoral history, I don't think it's like Delhi's electoral history. It's been a BJP gut for the last 30-40 years. I don't see that gut. Maybe it is. No. So, like I said, let the people of Gujarat decide. Let the people of Gujarat decide that. But to say कि गुजरात की इलेक्शन की वजह से CBI action यहाँ हो रही है, I'm not sure that it adds up. But anyway, we leave it at that. I want to thank Shalini Singh, Ashish Sood, Umesh Sehgal, Arun Anand, and of course Mr. Dubey for joining us. Let's move on to the other big story, and this is getting very interesting in the Congress party and the race to be the next Congress president. Just days after Ghulam Nabi Azad exited from the Congress party, two more members of the so-called G23 made some very interesting comments over the upcoming elections for a new party president. One of them, Manish Tiwari, says that there should be transparency in the publishing of the electoral rolls. The other was Shashi Tharoor, who said that 2 to 3 people are ready to contest the polls. He did not name who those people are. He did not say if he will be one of those 2 to 3 people. Can the G23 find a replacement for the Gandhis at the helm of the Congress?
Personally, I think it's important that everybody should have transparency on the electoral rolls.
नहीं भी होगा, जो भी होगा वो चपरासी की तरह फाइल लेके जाएगा, किसको बनाना है, किसको नहीं बनाना है.
All right, on the talking point this evening, Supriya Srinath, Congress spokesperson, is joining us. Sanjay Jha is a political analyst, formerly associated with the Congress party. But let me start with you, Supriya, and I'll start with what one of your colleagues, Manish Tiwari, tweeted this morning, and which, on the face of it, appears to be a legitimate question. He tweeted to the election in charge of your party, Madhusudan Mistry, asking why are the electoral rolls not being publicized, either put on the INC website or put out in the public domain, because after all, if you're going to elect someone, you should know who the electors are. It's a basic principle in any election.
Thank you for having me on the show, and quite frankly, some of what people say publicly amuses me, but I'm not going to make a comment there. I think I'm going to make a larger comment on this whole election of president and what we are trying to do here. Without getting into semantics and without getting into hyperventilation, Congress is the only party, political outfit in the country that does an election of its president. It is a mere coincidence that there have been unanimous choices in the recent past, but there have been elections to the Congress presidency. People even contested against Mrs. Gandhi, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, like Jitin Prasad. Even though people thought there would be factionalism, he turned out to be her political secretary. after losing to her. So that said, the Congress does elections unlike any other political party in this country. There is a way Congress elections happen. I am a delegate, and I did not become a delegate because somebody liked my face or somebody said, go ahead, Supriya Shrinesh should be a delegate. I had to go, do booth work, get members. That booth committee nominated a block committee, and that block committee elected a PCC delegate. So 9,000 people within the party are going to vote for who the next Congress president will be. If it isn't a unanimous choice, if you're a Congress leader and you have 10 delegates supporting you, you can be. One second, let me just finish.
Just give me 10 seconds.
Let me just finish.
10 seconds. Isn't it a legitimate question to ask, at least by those 9,000 people, who are these 9,000 people? Who are these people who are going to elect your party's next president?
Fair point indeed. And I think Mr. Madhusudan Mistry, but I will first finish my point before I come to yours, because you do get into the habit of asking a question just when somebody is speaking. And I respect that. I was making a point about, I wish this is going to be unanimous too, and like a Congress person, I would want the man who I call my leader to be the next Congress president. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if for any other reason, it is a competition wide open. Anybody who has 10 delegates supporting their name can contest an election, unlike in any other party where you will be put in a Margdarshak Mandal if you were to ever do so, or be chucked out of the parliamentary board if you have a dissenting view. Now, to answer your question, I think Madhusudan Mistry ji, as the chairman of the Chief Election Authority, has very categorically said these 9,000 names is not names that he is holding close to his chest. These names will be made available to anybody who files a nomination and whose nomination is cleared. And I think that's absolutely fair. That's what happens even in elections. I do electoral politics. Once I know that once the authorities know I'm a candidate, I get electoral roles, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. How is that wrong? So the question coming from somebody who's been a part of electoral politics, I find it very funny.
Sanjay Jha, so instead of doing this shadow boxing, which is what Mr. Tharoor and Mr. Tiwari seem to be doing, why don't they make clear if they want to stand for an election to be the next Congress president, whether Rahul Gandhi stands or somebody else stands? Are they going to throw their hat in the ring instead of making these loaded statements?
Well, Zakka, a very valid question. And I do believe that Sashi is contemplating a run. He's got to take the final call on his own. He's been pretty, I think, vocal about the fact that he's contemplating it by the article that he wrote, which was, I think, pretty much obvious in terms of the manifestation of his future intent. Now, he should go ahead with it, in my opinion. He's a terrific person. He's got a phenomenal, shall we say, credentials. I think India needs an outlier, someone who's not the conventional politician. Obviously, a lot of people will believe he caters to the urban elite, to the intellectual, to the liberal, etc. But I think, people who know Sashi well will tell you that he is a people's man. And, all those people who believe that his Hindi is not good, well, he's worked very hard on it as well. And at the end of the day, you need someone who can be a good administrator. He's genuinely, I think, one of the great proponents of I think, the idea of India that is very often used. And he will be a terrific candidate. Now, obviously, if there is competition, Zakka, there could be somebody else standing. It could be somebody from G23. It could be a nominee from the other side of the fence, which is good, because this is how the Congress actually is meant to be. More dynamic, not running down each other. Supriya and I don't have to get into an acrimonious exchange. We have similar ideological, I would say, compatibility. So if there is going to be a candidate, let's say Mr. Kharge or Mukul Wasnik or Ashok Gehlot, let there be debates, let there be conversations, let them campaign.
But Sanjay, can I ask one question? Are you seriously suggesting that if Mr. Tharoor or Mr. Tiwari or whoever it is from the quote-unquote G23 side is going to choose to run, and if Rahul Gandhi, or for that matter, Rahul Gandhi's nominee decides to run, that any of these folks even stand a chance among those 9,000 people who will ultimately elect the next president?
But Zakka, let me tell you, if Mr. Rahul Gandhi stands or Priyanka stands, no one has a chance against them. And I will give it to the Congress that they love the Gandhis. I was in South India recently in Kerala, and I can tell you in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, in Karnataka, in Telangana, Andhra, the Gandhi political brand still is very formidable. So, while it's very easy to trash Rahul, I will give full marks to the fact that he still has tremendous currency down south. Having said that, I would agree with you that if the Gandhis were to stand today, they will win hands down, although I think Dr. Tharoor is an exceptional candidate. I'm not taking anything away from Rahul or anybody else, but I think Shashi would be a phenomenal option.
Okay.
However, even if it's Mr. Gehlot or Mukul Vasnik or Mr. Kharge, or let's assume it's, give me another, let's Supriya Shirinde. If Supriya stands, she will still win. If the Congress knows that she is the chosen nominee of the High Command, even Supriya will win. So yes, I agree with you that in that case,
what does that say, Supriya? That ultimately, whether Mr. Gandhi runs or not, we'll get to know. But whoever the Gandhis pick, that's the signal to the rest of the electors of the Congress party that is the chosen person, and that person needs to be elected.
I'll say two things to you, and I say it with some amount of seriousness. I don't want to get into this banter right now because this is a serious issue that we are discussing. With all due respect to Sanjay and all the differences and the similarities that we may have, we are the only political party that does an election. So instead of actually, congratulating us to doing that, I like the media how we are being questioned. Forget about that. But the thing that I want to emphasize upon is, why are people making issues where none exist? Whether it is Dr. Tharoor, who's an excellent gentleman, or a Manish Tiwari, or anybody else for that matter. If you've got 10 delegates, the contest is wide open. Please come, throw your hat in the ring. And I think the beauty of the Congress party is that we've got so many wonderful names that people are talking about. So forget about that for a moment. The reality though, Zakka, and I will go back to the point that Sanjay was making about political currency. If I ask an average Congress person, whether in Gangtok or in Kerala or in Tamil Nadu or in Gujarat or in, up Himachal Pradesh or Kashmir, who is your leader? He says my leader is Rahul Gandhi. Why the hell should I then come and be a hypocrite here and say, yes, free and fair, everything? Absolutely, I believe my real leader is Rahul Gandhi, and for one reason, because that man, with his political integrity and without batting an eyelid, questions the government of the day without fear, without prejudice, and without bias, like nobody else does.
Supriya, I have an intervention
to do the same.
I have an intervention to make. So if you're so confident that Rahul Gandhi is the most popular leader within the Congress party, within the electors of the Congress party, and I have no doubts about it, why isn't he running? Why isn't he putting his hat in the ring and saying, yes, I want to be the next Congress president?
But he is not going to tell a Zakka Jacob on a show that I am not willing to be the Congress
Surely he can tell the public.
He's not going to tell Indian elect. No, 1 second. Why will he? He has to tell the Congress people. That's a misnomer. Who my president will be or will not be is a decision that the Congress party is entitled to and will take.
I'm asking a congresswoman, can you say, no, 1 second, I'm asking a congresswoman, and presumably you're close to Rahul Gandhi, can you say on the show tonight that Mr. Gandhi will run with certainty?
I don't hold a brief for him. How can I comment on whether he will run or not run? I can only hope and pray and be absolutely confident that there can be no leader other than him in the Congress party, the way he takes them on and the way he fights them. I will obviously put my hand on my heart and say that, but I want to make one point in the next 5 seconds. Never in the history of Congress elections have electoral lists been made public. It is given to candidates. Why is this? Why are non-issues being drummed up is what I want to understand when none exist.
No, so I will say this much before I give
Throw
Sanjay.
your hat in the ring. You are the best candidate. You will win.
I'll give Sanjay the final word, but I'll say this much. I mean, I don't want to blow up media speculation, but obviously both of you are aware of the media speculation that Rahul Gandhi does not want to run. There have been conversations with Mr. Gehlot, with others who could possibly be the nominee of the Gandhi side. Fair enough. They're free to nominate whoever they want to. Fair enough. No, but my limited point is the tragedy is this, and it's not Rahul Gandhi's fault. In fact, when he quit as Congress president in 2019 after the drubbing that the Congress party got, He said, I'm not
The
interested in
tragedy
this job.
is that you will never
I'm
point
not
out
interested in
any
this
other
job.
political party
The
that has
tragedy
no
is,
election.
one sec,
That is
Supriya,
the tragedy.
Supriya, no, the tragedy
That is the tragedy,
the
Zakka.
tragedy is for 3.5
Zakka,
years.
that's the
No,
tragedy.
for 3.5 years.
You will never talk about any other
One
political
second.
party
For
that
three
does
and-
elections,
for 3.5
including
years,
the Bharatiya Janata Party.
For three
Not
and a
one
half
political
years,
party.
you
That's the tragedy.
and fellow congressmen and
travesty that
women
you will
waited
not.
for Mr. Gandhi to have a change of heart, to come back to the position that you feel he should rightfully occupy. And for 3.5 years, India's leading opposition party did not have a president, or a full-time one at least, because Mr. Gandhi was not interested or
Why?
could
What
not
is Mrs.
make up
Sonia
his
Gandhi?
mind.
She is the Congress president.
She's an
What are you
interim
talking
president.
about?
I mean,
How
you
does she
know
not have a
that.
president?
You know that.
Mrs.
I mean,
Sonia Gandhi
she's
is
an
the
interim
president.
president. She's
She
not
runs
a
the party
full-time
affairs.
president. She's not
And
a
I
full-time president. You know that better than me.
What
But
I'm trying to
be
say
that as it may, what I'm
have
trying
we
to
not
say is
fought this
the
government?
tragedy
Yes, we
is
have
that for
every
3.5
single
years,
moment. Have we
after
not
Mr.
held
Gandhi
them
made it
accountable
explicitly
each time we
clear
have?
he was not interested in the job, the Congress party today is not any more sure that either Mr. Gandhi would run or a Gandhi nominee would get elected as the next president. But Sanjay, I'll give you the final word. I think, look,
But
is
that's
it
for the
is it
Congress party to
is
decide
it
and be
is
sure
it
and hope.
clear as
That's my problem.
Is it clear as day?
Why are you
Sanjay,
assuming the role for
no,
the
no,
Congress to
is
decide?
it
The
clear as
Congress
day?
will decide,
Is it
and the
clear as
Congress
day?
will hope,
But at
and
the
the
end of the day,
Congress will
Supriya,
ensure,
you're also a
not to
political
television
party.
announcer
You
or
operate in the
anybody
public domain, and I believe the public has the right
Yeah,
to ask
we
a few
are.
questions of your party. Fair enough. You can choose to answer it, not choose to answer it. But let me give Sanjay the final word. I'm completely out of time. Sanjay, the point is, if whoever it is, the person he or she to be nominated by the Gandhis is their candidate, that person will win. So then what meaning does this election have?
You know, I would just want to make one short point, Zakka. If Rahul Gandhi decides not to be the Congress president, trust me, it's not going to damage him or the Congress. I'll tell you why. You know, typically the public likes people who actually step away from power when there are questions raised about them. And I can tell you, if Rahul will still lead the Bharat Jodo Yatra, he will still be the star campaigner. You know, when I go to watch a cricket match, and I was recently abroad watching an India match against England, and Virat Kohli was the most popular cricketer. Every time he stopped the ball, he came in to hit a run, the crowd simply loved him. Now, you know, you don't have to be the captain of the team to be a stellar contributor. So I believe if the Congress today, exactly. So I believe the Congress today should not get so obsessed with the Gandhis, because the country seems to be saying, can you please experiment and give us some fresh face?
Okay.
And that way the Congress will emerge as a winner. You put up a new face, there is tons of talent. Supriya is a bright woman. I'm not saying that she has to be the Congress president, but there's so much of good talent within the Congress. Give them a chance.
Okay.
And that does not mean that the Gandhis' political brand will necessarily evaporate tomorrow. And in fact, I think that will be a winning combination.
Okay.
But the party needs to take a bold call. But in the meantime, Zakka, I'm very happy that at least Shashi appears to be somebody who will be out there as a contender. I think we need to change the narrative a little bit.
Thank you very much, Supriya Srinath and Sanjay Jha. We'll see how this story plays out for the Congress party, because ramifications are there not just for the party or its future, but ramifications are there for democracy and, you know, in the run-up to 2024 and all of that. So I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, there is a shocking assault on a doctor inside a hospital. We'll get you that CCTV footage right on the other side when BrassTacks returns in a moment.